President-elect Donald Trump set to have a private dinner meeting with Mitt Romney tonight. The second sit-down between the two. Most people do not get a second meeting, we have seen in this transition process. So the president-elect is trying to settle on a Secretary of State. Romney is one of several contenders said to be up for the job, and Mr. Trump is taking seriously this decision despite very public opposition from some of his top advisors to the idea of Romney as Secretary of State. Let's bring in Guy Benson, political editor for townhall.com, and Julie Roginski, a Democratic strategist. Both are Fox News contributors. Welcome to both of you.
Good morning.
We understand that Transportation Secretary is expected to be announced at noon today, so we'll have more on that coming up. But the Secretary of State spot is the one that's getting all the heat and all the attention. Guy, how do you think this shakes out?
Well, for now, Martha, it seems like one of two things is happening. Either Mitt Romney genuinely is one of the top frontrunners for the job, if not the frontrunner, or Trump's loyalists are sort of setting him up for the spike on Mitt Romney as retribution, if you will, for Romney's vocal role as a never-Trumper throughout the entire campaign. It seems like either Romney's in very good position to get this job, or Trump's getting ready to sort of publicly snub and humiliate him as a punishment, more or less, for a year plus of opposition.
I mean, that would be a highly, vindictive sort of move. But we've seen so many things that no one expects in the course of this electoral process. So I guess it's a possibility that may be what he's up to. But it does seem, according to what we've heard, that Donald Trump is seriously considering Mitt Romney for that spot. Julie, what do you make of this?
Well, first, I agree with everything that Guy said. It is vindictive, but we've seen if past is predicate. This is kind of out of the same playbook that he did with Chris Christie, where he dangled him for quite a bit, and then at the end of the day, if Christie gets anything at all, it's not going to be anything that he thought he was getting. So Guy's theory is very possible. I actually floated the same theory on Friday. Look, Mitt Romney is out of a different foreign policy playbook than Donald Trump. Let's put aside their personal disagreements and talk about the fact that on policy, Mitt Romney advocates a much more muscular interventionist policy than Donald Trump has, although Donald Trump has been somewhat all over the map in terms of what he advocates during the course of the campaign. So first and foremost, I think it's a question of whether the Romney worldview and the Trump worldview align, and that may be something that they're discussing as well. It may be possible that Mitt Romney doesn't want to join an administration that bends over backwards to placate Putin when he said that Russia was the greatest geopolitical threat facing the world, and he was right about that. It's something that's very out of sync and out of step with what the president-elect believes. So that may also be part of the question.
Well, no doubt some of that will be the subject of this dinner meeting that they're having, which is, somewhat unusual, Guy, based on what we've seen.
Yeah.
What do you think the significance is of the dinner invitation for Mitt Romney?
Well, it could be that sign of seriousness that we were just talking about. And I think Julie's point is well taken about, well, gosh, do their worldviews really align sufficiently for Romney to be able to do this job in this capacity under President Trump? But that could be the subject of discussion at dinner tonight. We may not see eye to eye on every single issue, but can I count on you, this is Trump, can I count on you, Governor Romney, if I select you as Secretary of State, to carry out my foreign policy based on my vision? I think that's a very important conversation to have. And one other very quick point I would say, from a conservative perspective, as we're watching this cabinet shape up, the announcement today at HHS, Tom Price, sensationally good pick by Donald Trump. I think that's something that the center-right collectively can celebrate.
Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama weren't exactly cozy, Julie, when he picked her to be his Secretary of State. It's also a job that, gets you out of the mix, really. I mean, it sends you out of the White House, around the world, which is an interesting dynamic for a president and the Secretary of State. It's not somebody who's underfoot.
Yeah, I mean, the real question is for Mitt Romney, why would he want this job if he espouses a very particular worldview, which is not aligned with Donald Trump? Is he willing to subsume that worldview in the service of a president whom he never supported in the first place? And that's a legitimate question, because ultimately this is not a job that Mitt Romney necessarily needs. If he wants to serve the nation, and he feels that serving the nation would be to subsume his own views on what is best for our foreign policy in the service of Donald Trump, which is what every Secretary of State must do, then obviously that's something he wants to do. But it's not clear to me that that's something that's in Governor Romney's own interest to do.
I mean, it remains to be seen if their views are that far apart, because we know that one thing that Donald Trump focuses on is not giving away what he would do. So he may have been reaching out to bring Putin sort of into the conversation and say he's open to talking to him, because he thinks that's the most effective way to keep Russia in line. I mean, that's highly possible. I want to get your thoughts, though, Guy, before we go, and if you have a thought on that, feel free to share it here as well, about Giuliani. Where does he stand in all of this?
That's a great question. I mean, it seemed like he was right up there with Romney for a long time, and we haven't heard his name all that much. Of course, he's in and out of Trump Tower. He seems to talk to Trump a lot of the time. So, again, I'm waiting to see whether or not this is really the Romney show or a head fake. And I would just say one other thing to the previous point. It's not like Mitt Romney has to agree with every single thing that Donald Trump thinks and then say, well, I'm just going to completely give up my worldview to serve the country. He would also have enormous influence on helping to shape American foreign policy from that position of Secretary of State. So the question is there a kumbaya moment that Mitt Romney and Donald Trump can get together and have, perhaps aided by Mike Pence, who is reportedly a big fan and sort of in the Romney camp on this one?
I mean, you can clearly see the lines here with Kellyanne Conway and perhaps Steve Bannon on the Giuliani side of all of this, and Reince Priebus and Mike Pence much more on the Mitt Romney side, it appears. So we'll see who wins in this battle. Fascinating to watch the team of rivals as it is formed. Julie and Guy, thank you very much. Good to see you both.
Thanks, Martha.